Hi, my name is Vanessa and I want to tell you a bit about my paper Symbolic Violence and the Politics of Environmental Pollution Science. In this essay, I regard science and expertise as the product of hegemonic cultures. In my research, I have observed that even though science is most often advanced with the best of intentions, it may contribute to reproduce inequalities. This raises serious concerns about the extent to which science and expertise can be invoked in environmental justice struggles, because using science may mean accepting the hegemonic principles that lead to such injustices in the first place. Let me make myself clear by explaining a bit more about the case study of cola's disposal in Tuzla, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The main actors here are a powerful industry which produces enormous quantities of waste, local residents whose communities are in the proximity of large disposal sites, and local institutions struggling to provide solutions to seemingly impossible problems. An international and interdisciplinary team of scientists was thrown into this mix in 2005 by virtue of a European research grant. I was part of that team. We analyzed the environmental risks from the waste and devised feasible solutions for the disposal sites. Doing this work, I became frustrated about our limited capacity to challenge what I perceived to be environmental injustices, the destruction of the landscape, and the lack of recognition of local perspectives on pollution. The research team found out that their findings contradicted some of the arguments put forward by local residents. For example, researchers argued that the sites were not radioactive. This seemed to confirm the industry's portrayal of local residents as hysterical and misinformed. Even though the project could not demonstrate the absence of serious environmental risks, it contributed to build a credible image of a safe industry. This experience puzzled me. How could I explain the disconnection between the findings of the project and the local experiences of pollution? During my doctoral research, I examined this question from various angles. I looked at the heterogeneity of local pollution experiences, at how the science itself was performed, and how the scope of the research was narrowed in practice, at the way social expectations shaped the results of the project, and how different definitions of pollution influence how responsibility for environmental risks was attributed. However, I decided to revisit this work after an experience in Tuzla in October 2011. A local activist accompanied me to the disposal sites to do an experiential interview of sorts. With his eyes lost in the black stench of ashes, full of melancholia, he explained that, despite all the experts and all the arguments, he still believed that his cancer had been caused by the pollution from the sites. In addition to his personal pain, this was a man struggling to reaffirm not only what he believed, but also what he saw and experienced in the sites. At that instant, I felt that the evidence compiled by the researchers was largely irrelevant in comparison with the experience of those who live there, who see, hear, and smell the pollution, who have to include it in their plans for the future. What if science has inherent difficulties to support or advance progressive objectives? What if these difficulties do not belong to the context, but to science itself? Should we then join the project of bettering science? Or should we be challenging the status of science as a force strong enough to override alternative forms of knowing and understanding? For me, Bourdieu's understanding of symbolic violence provided an angle to approach these questions. I was also greatly helped by some of the wonderful essays containing Massotti's homage to Barry Barnes, the book Knowledge as Social Order. This constituted the backbone of my argument, together with some seminal readings in postcolonialism, knowledge, and development. Before I knew, I was back reanalyzing my data from Tuzla, looking for evidence of the occurrence of symbolic violence during the scientific project. Sadly, I found plenty, the type of violence that requires that those who suffer it accept the principles that make it possible. You can find more about this in the paper published in Antipode. Please drop me an email if you want to engage in further dialogue, and thanks for listening.